What happened with Benin? I might save myself the trouble of going into details, but it is my duty to tell the Nigerians what happened with Benin, and perhaps the gleams of hope within the framework of relations with Benin. I said very well, maybe. On July 30th, when the ECOWAS had decided to put Niger under embargo, President Talon was in Abuja, which he had called to say, interrupt every goods and means belonging to Nigerians. When I say means, I mean automobile that are loaded from Cotonou or who have load inside Niger and which are on the pond of Malawi border post. Besides, is the only one we have with Benin. It's from Abuja, Nigeria, that he had taken this decision because it was necessary to punish the Nigerians who dare to take their destiny into their hands. Quite normal as president of Benin give orders, even if we think that there was another way of doing that. That consists of letting pass what was loaded at the port according to the Cotonou Agreement. But it is a sovereign decision taken by a sovereign state official. We have lived this total embargo on the side of our border post with Benin. Meanwhile, the pipeline works were not impacted by the embargo. Until the end of the execution of the pipeline work, there was no constraint because President Talon had traveled to China to give guarantee to the Chinese authorities that it will not be hindered in no way, and he will respect the agreement between the Republic of Niger and the Republic of Benin, which said that in no case the work of the pipeline or pipeline operation cannot be hindered by either the other party. The works are pursued, therefore, despite the embargo. The first boat was loaded. The second boat had arrived. Suddenly, President Talon remembered that Niger sometimes ECOWAS lifted the embargo. Niger refused to open its border. When they closed the border, we acted. We did not intervene to say that President Talon has acted badly. When he goes for our security, knowing what we know, and that we always know what is happening in Benin, precisely through the French DGSE agents in Benin. When people talk about base, there is no base but an action of subversive destabilization. It is not conducted with conventional troops, otherwise it wouldn't be a subversive action. Subversive guys just have to consult the dictionary. What it means in literal terms, subversion, without mentioning the field of specialists. What subversion means. So, saying that there is no base, these are advanced camps to fight against terrorism. But we know what we know. We know what happens in Benin. In Benin, automatically, I told you after the ECOWAS decision, President Talon has took measures and responsibility on him to apply the measures to the letter of ECOWAS. It is a sovereign state. I said it. He is free to do what he wants. And we are also live with this freedom to protect our country. We know already on August 25th, 2023, France had rented 3 Super Puma helicopters with a company called Elika from a nationality that I will not say. This Super Puma was already on Kanzi, Tamak. On the 26th, they were already in Kanzi. This is to correct Niger, who dares to say too much. In addition of this, includes elements of subversion, such as projected and position themselves at Tourou International Airport. It is even an international airport that the French have expressively rehabilitated. In Benin, at Tourou. Tourou is at 7 kilometers west of Parakou. Tourou International Airport is at 6.8 kilometers west of Tourou. This airport was reactivated and renovated. The French agents landed with cargo flights full with equipment. The first flight was at 2 a.m., second at 3 a.m. to disembark materials because they wanted to place them against Niger. We know the intelligence agents in civilian uniform was at GB Hotel of Kanzi. On the 25th and 26th September 2023, they were recognized in civilian clothes. It was necessary to recognize Poga Airfield, which is 2 kilometers away on the edge of the border in Park W, on the edge of Benin, Burkina Faso border. 2 kilometers at the interior of W near Benin. 2 kilometers of Burkina Faso border. It is at Poga Airport, and it is in the hands of the French, officially in charge to preserve the park. But you remember this officer of water and forests of Benin, who had raised his voice against this action that happened in this park through the realization of this track, and you know the fate that before him. So we know it is obvious that this airport, which we have coordinated, that I could say exactly. Then these same French intelligence officers was in a village called Alpha Kura, where there is a track but of lesser magnitude. Also, we have the coordinates of this airfield, where the French has always gone in recognition and always accompanied with French subversive agents. We know that the National School of Kanzi, who was an abandoned school, which is at the exit north of Kanzi, is occupied by these French subversive agents, where they have evolved with 10 Toyota Hilux. with civil registration, in particular of Benin administration. The security of these people was provided by the Republican Police of Benin. We also know in their search for positions from which they will destabilize Niger. These same agents carry out missions of recognition on the southern height, west of the village called Madikali. We know all this with the precise numbers. I remind you, these are not battalions, these are not companions, but they are groups of subversive agents who evolve in civilian clothes and with elements of Benin armed forces, themselves in civilian dresses. So we know all that. We know better than that. The flights recognize what the French are doing in Benin. And often taking precautions to stay inside Benin territory. But as they have great zoom capacity, they can take pictures. To discover passage points, to discover points of vulnerability, discover our positions. But inside Benin, we cannot act on these elements, nor act against these elements. So we know all that. We said Benin does not seem to listen. People made delators to say that there is no base, there is no regiment, there is no brigade, there is no battalion. We never have said that there are battalions. They are agents of destabilization. Subversive French inside Benin. They took over at the beginning of July. We are following them. New team came. Their shift took place on the 5th of July. We know that. They know that we know. It is okay to say that we epilate all their actions and gestures. These French agents were the very ones who gave direct instructions to the terrorists to empty all the farmers in the village of the region of Tilaberi. They gave clear instructions to massacre populations, to push them to leave, and not to carry out agricultural activities. We know it. They did worse than that, but we know all that, and we take all this into account to decide on the safety of Niger populations. President Talon of Benin has done a lot of false info about these facts, that he had sent missionaries to his brother Tiani. They made this because Macron wanted it. And brother, we think that there are still bonds of brotherhood with this brother that we wanted to destabilize. But let's reestablish the facts, since I never talk about that. Today, I will talk about this. What is this? The 26th of the month of June, China National CEO, Development Company, had come here in Niamey. I received him in audience with the ambassador of the People's Republic of China. He expresses his wish that tripartite encounter meeting can take place. At the time of the audience, They had the technical advisor on oil. There was the DGA of WAPCO who was present. I had instructed them to take contact with the Minister of Oil, find a date before the 31st, which this tripartite meeting between Benin, Niger, and WAPCO could take place. That has already been done. The exchanges are left on the 26th, I believe, of the month of June. The Minister of Water and Energy of Benin had come into the framework of this tripartite meeting. It happened that at the time he came to Niger, the Prime Minister was not around. The Minister of Defense, who assured his presence, was not around. Unfortunately, the second personality in order of protocol, which ensured the interim, was Minister of State. Minister of Interior was on the move. The third was the Minister of Health, who has received the Minister of Benin. At the end of the meeting, which lasted 2 days, 48 hours, the image that were circulated appeared on the national television, where he said he was satisfied with the mission he had carried out within the framework of this tripartite encounter. All of a sudden, he thought that he is carrying a message from President Talon to President Tiani, and he wished we meet. Official messages are subject to specific processing through the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He should have said it before leaving Benin. After the tripartite meeting, he would like to transmit to the President of the National Council for Safeguarding the Homeland a message from his brother, President Talon. The Minister of Foreign Affairs would have answered according to my program. This is what happened, and here is the truth, the facts. And this gives rise to international controversy. Since I believe that President Talon was at the time in Brazil, when he made a tweet to say that the devil president of Niger transition refused to take a brotherly hand that had been given to him, stretched across a message carrier. This is what happened, and these are facts. It is not fabricated. These are facts, and therefore, all these actions are verifiable to both parties on their guard. We are responsible for the security of our country. We have the responsibilities of the security of Nigerian citizens. We are taking the necessary measures to avoid responding before God, to haven't betrayed the trust of Nigerians. The day we will know that there is no threat on the Benin side, we will take the appropriate measures, and we hope through the steps that are already in place, initiated on both sides. I particularly take the opportunity to thank President Sogolo and President Yayi Buni, who made the complete movement despite the weight of the soul to come to us and to ask us to renew the trend of dialogue. In the same spirit, we sent a delegation which was led by the Minister of State, Minister of Interior, and who will make exchange on return gave us an update on this mission.
Le point de cette mission,
There are prospects,
D'accord.
mais
but security is urgent and most important.
la plus urgente.
D'accord.
There are perspectives of recovery with security first,
La sécurité d'abord.
conditioned by security measures.
C'est une question de
It is a question of responsibility towards the Nigerian people.
Nigérien.
D'accord.
Africa, wake up. Africa, rise up. Africa without borders. Africa, continental free trade area. The time is now. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.